Your marriage will make or break your business. Seriously, who you marry is going to be the biggest determination of whether you're successful or not. And this principle is true whether you're just getting started and you have no money, or whether you've already been successful and are now getting married. And in this video, I want to give you some tips on how you can have a marriage and a business that amplify each other. If you're new to my channel, my name's Ryan Pineda. I'm a real estate investor here in Las Vegas. I've flipped hundreds of homes. I've bought hundreds of rentals. I also own multiple businesses doing millions a year in profit. If you want to learn more about all those businesses and how I can help you, go to ryanpineda.com after this video. Now, before I get into the tips, I should probably give you some background on my marriage. We just celebrated our 8-year anniversary, and we've been together for 10 years total. And we got married when we were really young. My wife, Mindy, had just turned 21, and I had just turned 24. She was going to school to become an English teacher, and I was in the minor leagues playing baseball. And here's the thing, as a minor leaguer, I was only making $1,200 a month while I was playing. Mindy was not working, so she wasn't making anything while she was going to school. So as a young married couple, we were completely broke. In fact, we had to scrape up pretty much all of our money to afford our wedding. Now, even though those were some really hard times financially, they were some of the best times of our lives. And because of some of these tips I'm gonna share with you, it eventually led to all of the success we have now, both in our marriage and financially. So let's talk about some of the lessons I've learned these last 8 years as we've grown. The first is that no amount of business success matters if things are bad at home. Unfortunately, I've met many business owners and investors who are doing really good in their business and making a lot of money. But then when I ask them how their marriage is and how their relationship is with their kids, it's not the same story. They might be drifting further and further away from their spouse as their business grows more successful, and it might not even be something they realize is happening. You see, this is typically one of the pitfalls of having success in business. The bigger you become, the more time you end up spending in that business trying to maintain it or even grow it. When you start out creating a business, typically it's just you taking care of yourself and figuring out your own needs. But as the business grows and you hire more employees and you take on debt and you have a bigger overhead, you realize there's a lot more pressure to make sure that business thrives. And so what many entrepreneurs do is they start neglecting their family because they feel a bigger obligation to their business now. And I can tell you this is the wrong approach because it ends up destroying your family. Many entrepreneurs end up with divorce for this very reason. And so for me, this is something I've been extremely cautious of as my own businesses and social media following have grown. My wife and I actually sat together and created rules for me to follow in order to guard our family. One of those rules is that I am not going to work weekends. Now, this is very counterintuitive to most business people because they feel like that's the time to get ahead. But for me, I've made the commitment that I'm not even gonna have my office open on weekends. None of my employees come in, I don't come in. I want everyone spending time with their families and valuing those relationships. And I'll tell you, I believe it's made me even more successful by doing this. Not only do I get to enjoy my time with my family, I also get to recharge and get ready for the coming week. And I feel like during the week, because I'm recharged, I'm able to perform at a much higher level than somebody who's just working nonstop 7 days a week. But the other thing it's forced me to do is become more efficient when I do work. If I know that I'm only able to work on the weekdays and I have all these tasks to get done, I better figure out how to get those tasks done during this finite amount of time. So adding limits to yourself is actually a really good thing because it's gonna allow you to recharge and become more efficient. Another limit that I've set on myself is that I'm always going to leave the office at 5 o'clock. Basically, I want to be home for dinner every single night with my wife and with my kids. Now, are there times that I'm late? Sure, I'm not perfect. I'm not out by 5 o'clock on the dot every time. But for the most part, I'm never more than 10 minutes late. And you might be thinking, what happens if you still have work to do? If I wasn't able to get it all done in the workday I had, then I probably wasn't as efficient as I should have been, or I have too much on my plate and it means I need to delegate more. But the answer is never that I need to spend more time in the office working. Another thing my wife and I have done is that every Friday night we're doing a date night. And it's become something that we really enjoy. It's our time to get together, just husband and wife, no kids, no friends, just us. And thankfully, we live in Las Vegas, which is one of the best places for food in the entire world. And we've just been enjoying going on the strip and eating at some of the best restaurants that it has to offer. And it's our time to reconnect and really focus on each other while putting away all of the other things and problems that we might have. And I would encourage you to put these types of limits and things in your schedule so that you are making time for your spouse. Because I'll tell you, since our relationship is really good, it's allowed me to succeed in business because I'm not worried about all the problems that we're having in our own marriage. You see, when people have these marriage problems, it affects their business big time. They're not able to go out in full force with a clear mind and a positive attitude. They've got all this worry because of marriage problems. So the way to avoid that is to work on your marriage. If your marriage is good, your business is going to be better as well. The second lesson that I've learned throughout our marriage is that you have to earn your spouse's trust. I get this question all the time from new investors. They say, Ryan, how did Mindy trust you when you maxed out all your credit cards to do your first house flip? They say that they want to take a risk too, but their spouse isn't on board. And I would say it's a combination of both people. On one side, your spouse has a certain type of personality. Thankfully for me, Mindy is really chill and easygoing, and she's not super worried about money or risk. And because of that, when I want to go out and do something, she's usually very supportive. But on the other hand, you have your own reputation that you've developed throughout your marriage, and that might be good or bad. For me, when we were young, Mindy always saw my work ethic and my desire to succeed. And she knew that when I wanted to start flipping houses, I had already done all my research. She could tell how confident I was, and she believed me when I said that it was going to work. And throughout the time of our relationship, I hadn't done anything that would betray that trust. And so to go max out $50,000 in credit cards and flip the first house wasn't as big as a risk as people might think it was. But for you, it could be completely different. Maybe you've had some mistakes in the past that you have to earn back your trust from your spouse. Nobody's perfect, I understand that, but you do have to earn that trust back step by step. Maybe it's showing them that you are committed to getting into investing. Maybe it's showing them by how hard you study, or how many calls you're making, or how much time you're putting into this new endeavor. My point is, in order to earn trust from your spouse, it's gonna require actions, not talk. If you're taking the right steps every single day, trust will be earned. And I'll tell you, because I have my wife's full trust and full support, it inspires me and pushes me to start new things. If I was worried about whether she would let me do it or not, I might be less inclined to start all this new stuff. So my point is, I've been able to become more successful over time as I've built up more trust with my wife. The third lesson I want to give you is that you need to learn to be content no matter where you're at. So as I mentioned before, when we got married as a young couple, we were completely broke, but we were also extremely happy. We had enough money to fill our needs. We didn't have to go to the expensive restaurants we go to today. We didn't need nice cars. We were completely fine living in an apartment with used furniture. And I'll tell you this, every step of the way on our journey to becoming more financially successful, we have had the same level of contentment. I remember when I first took the risk and started flipping couches and it started to make us a great income, we were super happy. We thought we were the richest people ever flipping those couches. And then that led to maxing out the credit cards and flipping our first house. After that house sold and we made $25,000, we thought that we had hit the jackpot and we were gonna be cool making six figures a year. And eventually I opened up our first office and made our first million in a year. And I'll be honest with you, we were just as content with that as we were with flipping couches. And to see where we've gotten today with all these different businesses, with the social media influence, and whatever happens in the future, I can tell you we're now as happy as ever. It's definitely nice having a lot more money than we did, but I can't tell you that my contentment has really changed. And I think that's a great thing because no matter where you're at today in your financial journey or in your marriage, you can choose to have joy and contentment in any circumstance. And I truly believe if you take that principle, you're going to start doing much better in both your marriage and your business. So anyways, I hope this video inspires you. I hope it helps you out. If it did, make sure you're subscribed so you can see more content like this one, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.